My name is Ativalu. I am 34. I'm Samoan and I'm from Oakland, California.
My name is Fakava. I'm 31. I'm Tongan and I'm also from Oakland, California.
I always knew I was different, but I think when I realized there was a name for it, and coming out was after my mom passed away in '94. I think I was 15, and I moved back to the States because she passed away up here. And I ended up living with my aunt, her younger sister, and she was heavy into her church, and we never went to church when I was with my dad. And they talked they talked about homosexuality, and I didn't even know what that was, but it was watching MTV's Real World, San Francisco, and it was Pedro Zamora, the character on there, or the guy on there, who was gay and had AIDS, and I basically learned everything about gay and AIDS and all that stuff through that show. So I started beating myself up over it because of what I was learning in church. They always, at the end of church, they always have people come to the altar for people to pray on them, and I never go, but I don't know what it was. It's just one day I went up there and I was, asking God to take it away from me. There was something calming that came over me, and it was more, I just felt like he said that it was okay and that nothing was wrong with me. And that was literally the last day I went to church, because I felt like that's the only reason why I was going. After graduation, and I joined, I met someone through Utopia online, and they asked me to write my coming out story, and I was still angry about stuff with my family and how I was raised. I just wrote it, and they posted it on their website, utopiasf.org. I thought it was important for me to write that story. I didn't see anyone who was like me out there, and I wanted to set the example for other gay Samoans that it's okay, you could be yourself, you can be happy, even though I wasn't happy at that time, but I was working through it. I thought that was more important than what I was going through, because I just felt it would be easier for them. You know what I mean?
So I grew up in Arizona, and in Arizona there's not that many Polynesians out there, or at least at the time when I was growing up in Arizona. So trying to find a gay Polynesian out there, just, or a gay Polynesian and then a gay Polynesian that was out of the closet, that was kind of a hard thing. Didn't really see anyone that was like me. So I was pretty much alone. Like, I didn't have anyone that could relate to me. So God bless the internet. So this was back in '99. I was a senior in high school, and I was able to do it wasn't Google, pretty sure it was AOL.
It was AOL.
Did an AOL search and just typed in gay Polynesian, and one of the websites that came up was a website called Utopia. Utopia is United Territories of Pacific Islanders Alliance, and it's an organization that's focused on supporting gay Polynesians because, we're such a small group, and I think just that, being this place where people can identify was a great thing. And at that time, I didn't know of an organization like that. So in that website, there was an article that Alo wrote, and was talking about his story coming up or growing up, and I related to it in a lot of ways because he was talking about growing up, his dealings with his sexuality, his mother passing away. So at that moment, I just remember feeling like I'm not so alone anymore. There's someone out there that understands me. So when I read that article, it just changed me in a lot of ways, because I feel like that's when I started thinking about the possibility maybe I don't have to live a life where I have to hide or act straight or conform to what Polynesian culture or what their standards are in terms of growing up and living a life, getting married. 'Cause that's kind of like the route that I thought I was going to be headed, was to just find a wife, have children, and just live a life where it just wasn't open. I just remember my childhood just constantly lying, because I knew at a young age that I couldn't be who I was. I just remember being ridiculed for acting different, for acting like a girl or hanging out with girls. I just remember being called the Fakava, which means like a lady in Tongan, literally. And just remember whenever someone called me that, just hating that word. And because of that, because of the reactions I got for just being who I was, it made it really hard, and it made me want to not be who I was. It made me want to put up this front. And you know, when you're put in that situation, you're almost forced to have to lie, and lying becomes second nature. And at some point, you don't even know who yourself is, who you are. And so when I was in high school that year, finding that article and knowing that there was someone out there that was actually living an open life, living who they are, and they're still very much Polynesian, holding on to their identity, I thought maybe at that moment I can be gay, be Tongan, and live life openly. My coming out story is a little different from most because my mom actually overheard a phone conversation that I had with Alo, and she put one and one together. So I remember coming home from school one day, and she had my brothers in the living room, and it was just my mom and my brothers, and she confronted me about it, about the phone conversation, and she asked me if I was gay. And I told her, yeah, I'm gay. You know, I think that I think I was prepared at that moment to just tell her, you know what, this is who I am. She didn't react to it really well. You know, it's funny, you think that if people call you faggot or fakaleti, that it's something where it wouldn't be a surprise, but she didn't take it very well. I just remember her yelling more than anything else. I remember my older brother being disappointed and emotional about it. I remember him crying. My mother was crying. My mom at some point grabbed me by the arm and said, "Let's go," and didn't know where we were going, but we eventually ended up at a Catholic church. where she was able to find a priest, and she basically, we sat down and she asked the priest, or told the priest, look, my son is gay and I need your help to change that. And so I just remember at that moment just being really nervous, not knowing what the priest would have to say. Luckily for me though, the priest basically told her, this isn't something you can change. This is something that you're going to have to deal with. My mom didn't like that response. And I just remember the car ride back home just being very, very hard. She was very emotional, and I don't think she was really able to drive. But we got home, and I just knew that at that point in my life, things had to change. I just didn't feel comfortable staying there. And I also remember not wanting, although it's affecting me, I didn't want it to affect her any more than it had to. So I made a decision that I have to run away. I can't be here, and I think if I do run away, it's gonna save her the trouble of having to tell other people that her son is gay. I made the decision to go ahead and move out, and that's when my life with Alo started, when we started living together. When I first touched down in San Diego, and I remember just kind of walking into Alo's apartment, which was now our apartment, and just falling apart. Because that moment I realized that life has changed. I grew up with my 5 siblings, and I was very close to my younger siblings, and I basically helped raise them when our dad passed away when we were young. And I knew life at that moment was going to be different, because I left my family, I left my home, left my friends, and I was starting a new life. I didn't know what life was in store for me. Alo and I we were only together long distance wise for like 8 months or so. And if time has told me anything, is that it really does heal all things, because here we are today. That was back in '99, and it's 2013 today, and
tomorrow make 14 years.
Tomorrow makes our 14 years being together. So, I think when it comes to family, I haven't lost them. They're still there. They've come around, and I don't blame my mom for reacting the way she did. I think that reaction was something that was very natural to how she understood things, how she was raised. And I'm not trying to belittle, her actions. I think if she was more supportive, it would have been an easier thing. But she grew up in a culture that's very conservative, very religious, and being gay as a Polynesian isn't accepted. I think acceptance is more given to those that actually dress or are transgender, because they fit into those gender roles. Whereas if you have 2 gay men, it's not something that is, it's just not something that happens in our culture. So people don't know how to place you, or don't know how to categorize you. So, what I find is that if they're not familiar with it, then it's not something that, people are basically, they're they're scared of the unknown. But my siblings have probably been the greatest supporters. Like, just looking at my relationships today. And my mom has come around a lot. I think over time, when she sees that, you know, how loving Alo is towards me, how my cousins and my aunts and uncles have come to embrace us, you know, I think she sees that and she realizes, you know what, why am I so concerned about this? Granted, you know, she still has her hang-ups, but it's definitely, you know, it's definitely a lot better than it was in the past. So I'm grateful for the fact that I have Alo in my life, and I'm grateful for the fact that things are a lot better now, you know, and the moment I was able to come out and live life openly and honestly was the moment where I was able to receive people and they were able to see me for the real me. Being okay with the fact that, you know, people are gonna have their opinions about it. They're going to say what they want to say about you being gay, but you can't change who you are, and you can't, you know, there's not much you can do to change someone's opinion. Yeah, you can live your life openly, but at the end of the day, you get to make your circle. You get to, I think the unique thing about gay people is that, yeah, we have our blood family, but we also get to choose who we want to be in our family. And you start to realize who truly loves you unconditionally. So I feel like the moment that you're able to live life openly is the moment that people can truly love you for who you are. And those are the people that you should keep around you. You know, coming out is just the most liberating thing, I think.
It really is.
You start to live life openly, and you start being honest with yourself and honest to others.
Because it makes you evolve, and not only just you, but everyone around you is going to evolve because of it. You know, some of them, you know, not so great, but you know, that's where patience comes in, and you know, if you want people to love you, you need to love them. Like, that's ultimately my ideas. You know, I'm just gonna show people that I love them no matter what, and if they come around, you know, it's great. If they don't, then, you know, I still love you, and I can love you from a distance. And, you know, my life is gonna go on, and their lives are gonna go on, and, you know, you have to be happy with yourself. Amen.